That's a clown question, bro.
So I'm gonna kick some dirt.
He gets on base.
Just a bit outside.
I'm not the type of player that's going to be Johnny Hustle.
If you don't want me to watch the ball, you can go get it out of the ocean.
And welcome to the show to be named later, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I guess it's Mondays and Thursdays / Fridays now. I am your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I have been doing absolutely nothing for the past few days, except for watching baseball, of course. I've probably logged about 30 hours at this point. It is Sunday at 8:05 p.m. The Mets and Braves are in the third inning right now. The Braves are up 3-1. They got bases loaded with nobody out. So they could tack on some runs here. Looks like Dansby Swanson's up against Porcello.
Yeah, I just saw it happen.
Life is good. Life is great. Even though, yeah. Oh, no. Oh, I'm behind. Okay,
Yep.
Well, I will have a live reaction in a little bit, but I'm so glad baseball is back. It's been way too long. I needed this.
Yeah, it's been a refresher. Definitely, no crowds is something to get adjusted to, but we have
That's into the gap. That's over the left fielder's head. What is that, 2? That's probably 2.
it's 2.
So that's 5-1 Braves in the third.
So yeah, but the biggest, you could argue one of the two is, it's one of the top 2 biggest news stories that we didn't address on Tuesday's episode is the MLB right at the deadline chose to expand their playoffs from 10 teams to 16 teams, definitely changing things up in the league.
I think it's a great idea.
Yes.
This year might as well just be like a guinea pig, if you will. You're seeing how the universal DH works. Why not just play around with playoff teams and see what happens? Because in 60 games, we've obviously talked about really good teams could have bad 60-game stretches and miss the playoffs. This is sort of preventing that, but it's also giving new teams a chance that they would not have gotten otherwise. So I think that's going to be really fun. And every team has a much more of a reason to be competitive now.
Yeah, this is definitely the time to do that. Because, through 60 games teams started taking 60 games at about June 2nd last year. And
Yeah.
I can't imagine on June 2nd last year being okay, now we're going to do the playoffs. That's, it would be hard to kind of go with the same playoff format. And with the 16 teams, I think that's definitely going to make it a little more interesting. I think that's appropriate for a 60-game season. However, we'll see how it works out.
Mm-hmm.
But my gut feeling now is I wouldn't love it for a 162-game season because I feel like it's pretty conclusive at that point.
Yeah.
It's expanded playoffs. We like it for now. There's a lot of things that we like for now. Another thing is, another thing that changed.
I'm up for more baseball too.
Yeah, we're always up for more baseball, and it will be weird. We don't know how they're going to handle how it gets into November. Are they going to play at the same parks? We don't really know that.
If there's no fans, there's no real reason to play at a specific park.
Exactly, yeah. So you should, especially mid-November, if you're thinking the World Series is probably going to happen, it's probably Game 7 might happen between November 10th and November 15th.
At Marlins Park.
You can't do that if you can't do that on the East Coast or in the Midwest. It's not going to work out.
No, you can't do that. It's going to be way too cold. We've both lived in the Northeast all our lives, so we know exactly what it's like to be in the middle of November with we're lucky to get above freezing on those days.
Yeah, sometimes it is hit or miss. It'll be like 65 degrees and then all of a sudden it's like 35 degrees.
Yeah.
It's quite odd. But yeah, I mean, expanded playoffs, they'll definitely sort that out. But yeah, it starts off best of 3, then goes into best of 5, and then league championship series and World Series, as always, is going to be best of 7, which I like. Best of 3, there's going to be some weird stuff probably, but yeah, I mean, but yeah, that's the expanded playoffs. And also something we got to see on Friday was the extra innings rule into effect. That was pretty interesting.
So, I mean, I'm not sure what your take is on this whole thing, Chris. Honestly, I don't really know. I don't think much of it. Like, I don't really think there's anyone out there that loves it. I know there's people out there that hate it, which is, I think, kind of just people are quick to hate things that change automatically. I'm sort of indifferent. I mean, it's fair. Like, you can't, if you lose a game because of the extra inning rule, you can't say it's not fair. Because guess what? Your team had a runner at second base with no outs too. Like, you could have gotten him in. And, you know, Mike Clevenger of the Indians put out a tweet yesterday after the Indians lost on that scenario, sort of just putting out his thoughts on how he thought the rule was whack, as he called it. What are your thoughts on it, Chris?
Well, initially, of course, my gut reaction is usually bad. I usually don't like messing with the game. However, you know, I do think about hockey and how they handle it. Hockey, they have a 5-minute overtime period after the regulation ends. And it's also kind of a low-scoring game, little more low-scoring than baseball.
Yeah.
And then they go into shootouts. So, but in the playoffs, they just go 20-minute overtime periods until the game ends. So until that first goal is scored, that's when they end. So I think if baseball maybe does this in the regular season, and then Braves are killing it once again. And
they've reloaded the bases.
Yeah.
I'm behind.
So, but yeah, I think if they, in the playoffs, if they changed it back to the regular rules, I think that would be a good thing. I don't love it in.
I hate if the World Series had to end like that.
Yeah, I think, and it definitely devalues, your team depth when you add that rule in the.
Oh, Ender just cranked one. That's not getting out, but that's probably 3.
Yeah, it definitely messes with depth in extra innings. However, like it is somewhat a relief when, especially when we were watching the late night game. It was like, oh, this is going into extra innings, but it's not going to go until 5 a.m. We know that.
Yeah. That was Matt Olson just cranked a walk-off grand slam on one pitch from Hobie Milner.
Yeah, that was a hilarious thing.
But
pitch. Also, one thing I will say is I don't think there's much to complain about with games that go like 15 innings or longer. I looked it up. Last year there were 16 games that went 15 innings or longer, and that is 0.7% of all baseball games. So there's a 0.7% chance that a game will go 15 innings or longer with those.
And that's even less this year.
Yeah. So, this year, of course, it's going to change. But under regular rules, there's less than a 1% chance that a game will go 15 innings or longer, which is what everyone complains about. No one really complains about like the 12-inning games or the, even, 13, 14-inning games. No one's really complaining about that. But it's like, what if it goes 17 innings? There's not a huge chance. There's a less than 1% chance that that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So, it's not too much to complain about. But, who knows? Maybe spicing up extra innings could make the game a little more interesting. And we'll see how it plays out for a 60-game season. Maybe it's decisive that we do like it at the end. Who knows? some other things about, the 2020 baseball season. How do we one thing I did find interesting is those like the fans on the Zoom chat, like they show on the broadcast. It's kind of weird.
So I was watching the end of the Mariners and Astros game today.
Same.
And this is the only game I saw this particular usage of it with, where the Mariners scored runs late in the game to come back against the Astros, and like they were showing the fans on Zoom like their live reactions. Everyone in their living rooms was like going crazy on Zoom, and I thought it was really funny. I mean, why not? Like it's this is a joke that you and I made this weekend, but I mean, how 2020 is that?
I mean, Daniel. I mean, it's so 2020. I mean, you got the Zoom call. I mean, you got rain delays in the first game of the season. I mean, how 2020 is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's we do love also that was like the first joke made. It's just it was the easiest joke in that opening game. Rain delay. How 2020 is that? But yeah.
Exactly.
The fans on Zoom is that's pretty interesting. And do you want to do the bullpenning rant now
I want to do it now because it's on my mind. So today I was watching the Yankees and Nats game, and Patrick Corbin was dealing. I mean, like this is the third best starter in this rotation. I was talking to my dad. He's probably an ace in like 20 to 25 other rotations. He's the third best pitcher in the Nationals rotation, which says, it speaks to how good their starting pitching is, right? And he's got, I think, one hit allowed through the first 6 innings of the game. And in the 7th, he strikes out Aaron Judge to begin the inning and then gives up a home run to Gleyber Torres. And he missed the spot on the slider, left it a little up. No big deal. He was only at 75 pitches. And I was like, all right, well, that's it's one hiccup there. He'll keep going. He'll get through the 7th, even though he had to face 4 and 5. He had already struck out Stanton twice that day anyway, even if he was killing it the first 2 games. Nope, they take him out right after the Gleyber Torres home run, and Will Harris proceeds to give up a home run to tie the game to Luke Voit. And the next inning, Sean Doolittle gives up the game-winning run on an RBI single again to Torres. And listen, the Nationals obviously were not bullpenning by definition. They weren't using openers. They weren't having a guy go one time through the order. But that decision still bugs me, mostly because I'm a Red Sox fan, so by default I have to hate the Yankees. But the fact that the Nationals had a .9 reliever wins above replacement last year, according to Fangraphs, that is 22nd in the major leagues. They also had the worst ERA and WHIP in the bullpens in the National League. So, and they didn't add anyone of note in the previous offseason. So breaking news, Nationals bullpen, it's not very good. As I mentioned, Corbin, great starter. And I looked at Corbin's numbers in the 7th inning. I know this is very arbitrary, but over the last 3 seasons, Patrick Corbin has an 0.92 ERA in the 7th inning in 29 1/3 innings pitched. And I get that he gave up a home run too, but those numbers speak to the idea that he's probably not going to do that again. And guess what? A Patrick Corbin, a top-of-the-line starter, through the end of his start, is still a better option than a bad bullpen. And that decision pretty much cost the Nationals the game today. And my rant about bullpenning as a whole is that it's only going to work if you have a completely effective bullpen all around. Like, you have to be the Rays, where you have, like, lists of guys that are, like, either under the radar or elite, or just, like, everyone knows how elite they are. Like, you can't just, like, throw out random guy after random guy in a long-term sample size and have it work. That's just not going to happen unless you have, a team like the Rays. And that's my take on bullpenning. The Red Sox are doing an opener tomorrow with Josh Osich. I'm not expecting much, but that is my thoughts on bullpenning.
Yeah, and also, like, if a guy, and I know it's not the case with Corbin, but if a guy's slightly worse than if a guy's slightly worse on, like, their 3rd time through the order, but they're still better than a bullpen guy their 1st time through the order, you still you still have to go with the starter there. I think that just gets confused.
It bugs me too because like if Glaber hit that home run in the 4th inning instead, he would have kept going. It's because like that one like he gave up a home run, that must mean he's done now. Okay, well let me take him out and put in this bullpen that's going to give up 2 runs. Like no.
Yeah, that's come back to bite some teams like in the postseason. It's happened a lot. You know, the Astros when they took out Greinke, that was debatable.
Yeah, and that was and sorry to cut you off, but that was only like the 2nd or 3rd base runner he allowed all day. It's not like he had a few walks and his pitch count was getting up there. And the first, he happened to wait until now to give up an earned run. He was dealing up until that one pitch to Glaber, and that set the whole thing off.
Yeah, I mean, and Greinke was sort of the same case. He gave up a home run and a walk, and it wasn't like it was 2 bums that he gave up a home run and a walk to.
It was Rendon and Soto.
It was Rendon and Soto. I remember Kyle Hendricks in Game 7 of 2016. I think he gave up like 1 base runner in the 7th inning and or 6th inning.
That was like the 5th inning. He didn't even go 5.
He gave up 1 run up to that point, and Joe Madden yanked him for John Lester, and they immediately gave up 2 runs. I just I think the panic button, it's being pressed a little too soon sometimes. And an old school manager like Dusty Baker definitely wouldn't do that. He lets guys go a little too long.
And listen, I love analytics. I'm the biggest analytics guy out there. But sometimes you have to recognize, hey, maybe this bullpen is still not as good of an option as a frontline starter who is 75 pitches deep into his start with 1 bad hiccup.
Yeah, and pitch count.
And if you want analytics, 0.92 ERA in the 7th inning over the last 3 seasons and 29 in the 3rd innings pitched. There it is.
And pitch count was not a factor at all because Max Scherzer pitched 99 pitches in his first start. So that was, what the Nationals were doing. And Patrick Corbin last year with the Nationals on his opening day start pitched 94 pitches. So it definitely wasn't a pitch count thing. I think they just thought he didn't have it anymore, which is absolutely incorrect.
It sucks that he had that short of a leash. That was the one mistake he made the entire day. I don't even think he blocked anyone. I think he had 1 base runner allowed up until that point.
Yeah, it's
and it also happened to be Glaber. Glaber hit the first base hit for the Yankees in the 4th inning.
Yeah. So there you have it. There you have it. Some early surprises to start off 2020.
Yeah, all right. I wasn't going to talk about this till later, but I think I'll just address it now. The Seattle Mariners, they lost 2 of their 3 games to the Astros this weekend. But one thing that really stood out to me was
Bless you.
All right, we'll cut that out. But one thing that really stood out to me about the Mariners and how they played this weekend was the 2 through 4 hitters in their order of J.P. Crawford, Kyle Lewis, and Kyle Seager. Each of them had a phenomenal series against the Astros, and I'm really interested to see. And it's the Astros. It's Justin Verlander, it's Lance McCullers, it's Zach Greinke. They're facing legit pitchers here. J.P. Crawford hit .333 with a 1278 OPS in the series. Kyle Lewis, 364, 1371. Kyle Seager, exact same thing, 364, 1371. Those dudes absolutely raked in the middle of that order, and I was definitely not expecting that, except for I was pretty high on Kyle Lewis, but I was not ready for that type of production this early. Same thing with Kyle Seager, who I think a lot of people believe are on a decline, and J.P. Crawford as well, who's just trying to make a name for himself pretty much.
Yeah, that kind of sticks out and doesn't get noticed when the team, doesn't win the series or sweep the series.
And to be fair, they're pretty much the only ones that did anything of note, except for Tim Lopes today. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Went 3 for 4. So that was interesting. But other than that, pretty impressed by the Mariners' meat of the order there.
So yeah, and we mentioned that expanded playoffs were one of the 2 biggest stories in the past week that we did not address. So we recorded on Monday, and on Wednesday, Mookie Betts signs for 12 years, $365 million. Probably does not get as much as people expected.
I mean, I think a lot of that could have to do with COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I believe personally that him signing the deal to begin with all had to do with COVID. It was pretty clear that he was going to test the free agent market, and COVID happens, and the market, we have no idea what it's going to be like. So Mookie Betts figures he's going to take the guaranteed money. He deals out with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and probably ultimately, I guess COVID plays a factor in this. He probably signs a bit of a team-friendly deal. I guess the signing bonus helped the deal out, but he's making an average annual value less than a lot of guys. Anthony Rendon was the first guy I thought of, which he's a very good player, but I think you still put Betts ahead of him. Betts is getting like $5 million a year less than Anthony Rendon, but I guess that signing bonus kind of has a factor with that.
And I've seen a lot. Obviously, I'm a Red Sox fan, so I've seen a lot of takes from the Red Sox perspective of this. Obviously, you trade him for Alex Verdugo, Jeter Downs, and Connor Wong a few months ago, and there was a lot of hope that maybe we would re-sign him, being that we were now under the luxury tax for the first time in years. And that's not going to happen now. Mookie Betts is going to play pretty much the rest of his career in Los Angeles. And the difference between the Red Sox and Dodgers here is that the Dodgers offered him what he was worth. The Red Sox offered him, I think the highest offer was 10 years and $300 million, maybe a little bit north of that. The Dodgers exceeded that in both the years and the money. And I can't be mad at Mookie Betts. Like, he got what he was worth, and that's what he deserves. He has nothing to prove left to the city of Boston. He's won an MVP. He's won a World Series. He's gotten numerous gold gloves, silver sluggers, I think even a platinum glove in there. He does not owe the city of Boston anything. It's up to him to get his money, and he got it in LA and not in Boston.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't think I don't think anyone, no one in Boston is really upset at Mookie, which kind of
shouldn't be. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a thing.
It's a lot of ownership. Ownership is the point to point your fingers at here. It's John Henry, Tom Warner. It might be Sam Kennedy. It's up in that front office. I don't think it's Chaim Bloom's fault either, because he was kind of brought in to be essentially a scapegoat in that moment, at least. So, yeah, it is what it is. The Red Sox fumbled the bag on a Hall of Fame caliber player, the most talented player that I've seen in my lifetime, and someone who's like 35 years old could probably say that too. So, it sucks. The Red Sox might never recover from this one for a long time. I think this is going to be one where we look back and think, man, like, they really screwed that one up. They could have had that, but they wanted financial flexibility.
Yeah, the one thing, it is weird looking at this completely in hindsight, and you do want them to spend all the money they can, but you realize the Red Sox have had the highest payroll or a top 3 payroll for a while. It's where they're spending the money. If they knew, and we both agreed on this this past weekend, if they knew that that the money would run out eventually, why would they prioritize 2 pitchers with previous injury problems before that? If you want to sign them and Betts, that's completely fine.
Yeah.
But if you knew the money was going to run out, why aren't you prioritizing the defending MVP, who probably had the best season by an individual
in the American League?
Yeah, the best season by an individual player, I would say, since possibly Bond's era. I mean,
I would say Bryce Harper's 2015, and that's about it.
I mean, even Bryce Harper's 2015. Betts, I think he outdid him in both B WAR and F WAR because of defense and the fact that he stole 30 bases.
Yeah, I mean, I think offensively we might not ever see a Harper 2015 again for a while, but I think that's the only year that you could really put up with Mookie's 2018 in the last decade. Maybe a Trout season, maybe his 2019, maybe even his 2018, his 2016. There's so many Trout seasons. His 2013. So this brings us into our next topic. Chris, do you have any closing thoughts on Mookie Betts?
Yeah, I mean that's it. I understand if the money runs out. I mean, no, not a lot of teams spend like the Red Sox, but they definitely made a giant mistake in where they prioritized that money.
Yeah.
And you either got to sign all three, or you got to decide between. You got to put Betts in front of Chris Sale and Nathan Eovaldi. But that's they didn't do that, and they kind of went short-sighted by prioritizing those guys ahead of Mookie Betts when they knew the money was going to run out.
So our next topic, Justin Verlander. There's been a lot of conflicting reports about him over the past couple hours. At first, he was out for the rest of the year, and when I saw that, I mean, that would have changed everything in the AL West. Then now you're looking at the A's to make a run at the division. You might be looking at the Angels to sneak into one of those 5 wild card spots. That's a guy who would put up 7 BWAR in the previous season. That's a guy you probably aren't winning the division without. But Justin Verlander has since tweeted he is not out for the year. He has a forearm strain, and he's going to be shut down for a couple weeks and then reevaluated. So that doesn't necessarily mean he's not done for the year. I think it's unlikely, but as of now, what we know is that Verlander is not pitching for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and one player that you could make a parallel to where it might get worse and it might go down to the elbow is Luis Severino, because we knew Luis Severino was having forearm issues, and now he's out for the year. I mean,
I'd say the one difference there is that Verlander and Severino are at 2 completely different stages of their career. Where one of them is trying to build a name for themselves at like their mid-20s. One of them has already proved everything he needs to do. He's already a Hall of Famer. Of course, he just won the Cy Young, so he's still definitely a guy that everyone should want on their team. But that's the only difference I can really think of between those two there.
Yeah, Verlander. Yeah, I think. Yeah, this year he's probably going to be more persistent in trying to get back. I mean, he's 38 years old?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It is weird. He's a guy who's had one of his best years ever, in his age 37 season. And
he's 38. He's in his age 38 season.
Yeah, and it is
his
the
37 season, sorry.
Yeah, and we're still in the Astros window of them being able to win championships. So he's probably going to try to get back out on the field. I mean, after the report that he was going to be out for the season, I was ready to write the Justin Verlander, tribute to his career.
Yeah.
I was ready to talk about, how awesome his career was, but, we could see him back in 2020.
I think a lot of people are quick to judge with that team in particular, but none of the scandals that have been going on for the past, how long has it been? Like 9 months at this point?
Since November, so
mid-November. Yeah.
About 8
By the way,
8 months.
All these scandals, it has nothing to do with Justin Verlander. He was not affected by the trash cans. He's a pitcher, and he's still a really good pitcher, regardless of what team he plays on. So that's a guy you should be rooting for as an individual. You don't have to root for his team, and I completely understand if you don't want to. But I think you should have a soft spot for Justin Verlander.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is funny because he's you can understand there's every person on the planet is somewhat jealous of Justin Verlander.
Yeah.
He's not someone where you see him and you could be like, oh, I can achieve what Justin Verlander has achieved in his life.
In multiple aspects of life.
Yeah, and he's he hasn't had very many bad breaks, and but this is one of them. So, you just as a baseball fan, you want to see him go back out there and perform like he has for the past few years and
15 years.
Yeah, since because he did fade out, and then he kind of had a resurgence like 2016 on, and then the Astros definitely helped. But yeah, that's Justin Verlander, and we're gonna go right into what happened on the field. stuff that happened on the field. We'll start in the National League East with maybe the biggest surprise of the past weekend. The Marlins win their series over the Phillies, kind of slowing down the hype train of the Phillies. And I know a lot of people have them as kind of a sleeper team. It started off in Game 1. Sandy Alcantara gave up 1 earned run in 6 2/3 innings, and the Marlins had a 4-run sixth in the first game of the series.
That was one of my guys to watch for.
Oh yeah, that's correct. And then
Sandy Alcantara, and another guy that I had was Zach Wheeler. This guy has been taking a lot of heat for the contract that he signed with the Phillies over the offseason, and I've been a Zach Wheeler apologist. I am ready to back him up whenever I need to, and he shined in his Phillies debut. Granted, it was the Marlins. I get it. He's got the Yankees this week, and that'll be a real test. But hey, 1 run in 7 innings pitched, only 3 hard-hit balls in 24 batters faced. That's exactly what you should be doing against the Marlins, and that's what Zach Wheeler is there to do. So Zach Wheeler on Saturday provided the Phillies their only win. Also, Phil Gosselin hit 2 home runs in that game. Chalk that one up as something you didn't expect to see. I can promise that one. I didn't even realize he was still on a Major League roster until I saw he hit a home run.
Yeah, I don't really know of what was like his former team.
Phil Gosselin.
What was his former team like before this?
The Cardinals, the Pirates. He's kind of a journeyman.
Yeah,
but then on Sunday, the tides turned a bit. The Marlins slugged their way to an 11-6 win. The Phillies went up 4-0 in the first after Bryce Harper hit a shot to make it 3-0, and they later scored again. Vince Velasquez didn't look very good. Neither did the rest of the bullpen, which is a big concern because it looks like they might only have 2 dependable starting pitchers. If Nola could at least be better, but Wheeler definitely looked great. The star Marlin of this series was Miguel Rojas. He went 7 for 10 with a home run, a double, and a triple, along with 5 RBIs. And then to round out the rest of the National League East, as far as in-divisional play goes, the Braves and Mets are playing right now. The Braves are winning 7-1, so they're probably going to win the series. They came back against Edwin Diaz in the 9th yesterday. Down to the last strike, Marcelo Zuna hit a home run, and Dansby Swanson hit the go-ahead RBI. So this is a series that got away from the Mets after DeGrom and Soroka had a pitcher's duel on opening day. Cespedes hit a home run in his first game in over 2 years. So that was cool. And that's just about the in-divisional play in the NL East.
Yeah, and then it goes over to the interleague play of the eastern third of the country. The Yankees and Nationals, they were in the spotlight this weekend. They were the first game in about 10 months or 9 months on Thursday night, where the Yankees got off to a good start. Giancarlo Stanton has been looking very good in the 3 games that he has played. And, Garrett Cole, looking like Garrett Cole. I guess his career strikeouts per 9 might have gone down. He only had 5 strikeouts in 5 innings. But he did allow 1 run in 5 innings. And, the
only
Yankees.
1 hit, too.
Yeah, only 1 hit and I think 1 walk. And, yeah, that 1 hit was that Adam Eaton home run. And then Max Scherzer, the Yankees offense, I guess they got to him. Not a great start for my National League Cy Young pick. But then on Saturday, I didn't really catch any of the Saturday game.
James Paxton pitched 1 inning. 1+, I guess. Did not look very good.
Yeah, so the Nationals won by a good deficit, right?
It was 9-2. Victor Robles finished a triple shy of the cycle.
There we go. That's my guy to look for. And and then today, we pretty much described today.
Yep.
Corbin was going great, and then the bullpen comes in preemptively. They give up that lead. The Yankees bullpen keeps the lead, and they win that game. And a pretty good series to start. I mean, Yankees Nationals, you have the defending champions against probably the World Series favorites for this year. So that was a good one. That was a good series to start off.
So now we're gonna look at the AL East, the individual play. We'll start out with the Blue Jays and Rays. The Blue Jays came out swinging on opening day Friday. Kevin Biggio hit a 3-run home run in that one. The Blue Jays won 6-4. Hyunjin Ryu looked pretty good. I don't think he went too deep into his outing. I don't even think he got the win. But he looked all right. And then on Saturday, Matt Shoemaker pitched pretty well. The Rays, I think outpitched them, though. The Rays had Brandon Lau hit a go-ahead double in the 8th that put him on top. That happened.
Yeah, and Ryan Yarborough, he went 5 1/3 scoreless, I believe.
Yeah, and the guy who got the win in that game was my guy, Nick Anderson. He pitched 4 outs. Actually did not get a strikeout, believe it or not, but he pitched very well, got a win. And today, we had the extra innings rule come into play. The Blue Jays got their runner in the 10th, and Kevin Kiermaier hit a two-run double in the bottom of the 9th to win the game, and the Rays took the series 2-3, or 2-1.
Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't know that Blake Snell was still kind of building back up from his injury last year. So he only went 2 innings, but he did strike out 5, and he went scoreless.
And the Rays are the team that can get away with bullpenning because they have a really good bullpen on all aspects.
Yeah. And, so definitely the Rays were relentless. The Blue Jays happened to blow the game twice on this
Watch
past
for the
Sunday.
Blue Jays, though. They can be interesting. I mean, I don't think the Blue Jays blowing the game says much about who they are. I still think they could be a really interesting team, and the fact that they showed it that they can hang with the Rays like they did all 3 games there, they are an interesting team, and they could maybe make some noise.
Yeah,
and the Braves just hit another home run.
Yeah, I don't really count out the Blue Jays at all for what they did. However, it does show. If it shows anything, it shows that they have a very good offense. They have a decent starting staff. But the bullpen does have some holes. You do have Ken Giles, who, don't expect that blown save today to really forecast anything in the future because, I mean, he was one of the best relievers in baseball last year.
Exactly.
But the bullpen as a whole does have some holes in it. That's why they're not really looked at as a division winner. I mean, if they had a great bullpen, they could be definitely a team that could compete for the division, especially in a 60-game season. However, they're probably more of a 3rd or 4th place team, but they're definitely exciting and a team to look out for.
Mm-hmm.
Then the 2 other teams in the AL East that we haven't mentioned, the Baltimore Orioles.
Talk about the series.
It's baseball. It's a baseball show. It's a baseball show. These are 2 of the 30 teams. I think we should talk about this series. So the Baltimore Orioles surprised the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox come out hot. They win the first game 13-2. Nathan Eovaldi looks good. The team hits 8 doubles, which I think that was the most doubles in an opening day game since 1936.
That's what I saw. It was 1936.
Yeah, it was quite the offensive and pitching performance by the Red Sox. And then on Saturday, Martin Perez gives up 5 runs.
Zipping through the motorcycle behind me.
What was that?
Okay, there was a guy just cruising down on his motorcycle, and I was wondering if you could hear it or not. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I couldn't really hear that.
Okay.
However, Martin Perez gives up 5 runs in the first 2 innings. They can't really come back from that. They give up 2 more runs. The Red Sox offense wasn't great on Saturday. Was it 7-2 final?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then today on Sunday, Ryan Weber gives up 5 runs as well. And the Red Sox, they score 4 runs, but that's not going to be enough. The bullpen gives up 1 or 2 runs. The bullpen hasn't been too bad. It's mostly been the starting pitching. And
It has been.
And
yeah, it turns out the Red Sox starting pitching is a problem.
Yeah, and it was a problem at the beginning. It was a problem last year, and then David Price got traded, and then Chris Sale was out for the year with an elbow injury. Then Colin McHugh opted out for the season, and then Eduardo Rodriguez has myocarditis, which is
it's sort of like a next step in COVID, and I've heard about 10 to 20% of COVID patients get it. So it's not looking too good for Eduardo Rodriguez right now. We wish him nothing but the best. Honestly, I don't think he should be pitching this year. If the team isn't going to be competitive, or if we're losing 3-game series to the Orioles, it's not promising. I think he shouldn't be taking any risks.
Yeah, I was watching the Nesson post-game broadcast for a little bit, and apparently Rodriguez said he does want to come back, but of course, like every pitcher,
you can not want to come back, but he's not going to do it freely. He's going to make sure he's safe and sound.
Yeah, I mean, he might be able to pitch, get like 5 starts, 20 innings pitched, maybe keep him fresh a little bit, but probably not much for the 2020 season. And I personally don't really have a problem with that. I mean, they're looking like, especially after this last series, they're looking like a team that's going to finish below 500. So definitely not a good start. I mean, the pitching, it was, they don't have a lot of velocity behind the ball, and the balls are catching a lot of plate. Not something you like to see if you're Red Sox fans like us. But I guess that transitions into the American League Central, where the Indians and Royals definitely had an interesting series. Shane Bieber has one of the best opening day starts you can have. 14 strikeouts. I think you got some good stats on Shane Bieber's.
I sure do.
All right, let me get
Yeah, I know what you got to do.
Let me get it set up.
So Shane Bieber, he was particularly dominant on this opening day. He carved up that Royals lineup. In fact, he became the 5th pitcher in baseball history and the 1st pitcher in Cleveland Indians history with 14 strikeouts on opening day. The last person to do that, Randy Johnson in 1996. How about that indeed? And when that's really impressive when you consider the fact that opening day is specifically when you throw your ace. So there's plenty of opportunities for 14 Ks on opening day. And Shane Bieber, only the 5th person in baseball history to do that, 14 strikeouts.
Yeah, it was quite unreal.
Mm-hmm.
So the Indians won game 1 by the score of 2-0. Then in the second game, Brady Singer, we forgot to mention him in our season preview, but this guy.
That's okay. I have a stat on him.
Yeah, he is. I think he's the best
pick out of Florida.
Yeah, he's the best Royals pitching prospect, and he's one of the better pitching prospects in all of baseball. And he had a solid MLB debut. He went 5 innings, allowed 2 earned runs, and he struck out 7. And he was able to keep up with a guy of more experience, a guy who is also very good. He kept up with Mike Clevenger, who also gave up 2 earned runs. He went 7 innings. And your Brady Singer statistic?
So Brady Singer, you mentioned all those stats there. The one you didn't mention was only 3 hits. He became the first Royal with 3 or less hits allowed and 7 or more strikeouts in their major league debut.
How about that?
So Brady Singer, he's going to be a guy to look for on that Royals team that we did not mention beforehand. I'm excited because he faced a legit team. It's not like he was throwing down the Detroit Tigers lineup. The Indians are a legit playoff contender, and Brady Singer could hang with them. So I'm excited to see what he can do for the rest of the brief season.
Yeah, and it's the Royals. The Royals don't have really any pitching, so Brady Singer is probably a bright, a knight in shining armor for that pitching staff, and definitely has to be the future of that pitching staff because there's not really anyone else that's come up yet. And then the Indians today had a very good day offensively. I think Jose Ramirez hit a home run from both sides of the plate.
Yep.
And they won that game. What was it, 9-2?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Indians won today, and they won the series as expected. They are currently 2-1. And then in the AL Central as well was Twins versus White Sox. This was a very good matchup, one that people should have been excited about. And the Minnesota Twins, they had two amazing offensive performances, and sandwiched in there was them getting beat by Dallas Keuchel in Game 2. What did we see in that series?
One comment that I would like to make is my Rookie of the Year pick, Luis Robert. He hit his first career home run today. He had 4 base hits during the series. The softest hit that he had, 102 miles an hour.
That is that's something to cherish. Yeah.
That's 4 barrels in one series in 3 games. So this guy hits the ball hard, and he's just starting. He wears number 88. He's got a linebacker's number. So Luis Robert, it should be a guy that is on your radar if you ever have the Chicago White Sox on.
I would say more of a tight end wide receiver number, but yeah, we do. It is a football number for sure. You don't see that. You don't see that in baseball or even basketball.
I'll talk about the Twins as well. The offensive surge, just like you always expect with this team, is real. Nelson Cruz hit 2 home runs today. He's the league leader with 3 right now. Max Kepler hit 2 in that first game as well. So you've been seeing a lot. They've also just done a lot with runners in scoring position too. A lot of extra base hits. The team slugs just like you'd expect. They got to Lucas Giolito pretty early, which was surprising. Ronaldo Lopez. They get Jake Cave hit a grand slam today off of him. They had 8 runs in the first 2 innings, I believe, today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I talked about how skeptical I am with the Twins pitching, but that offense is still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and I personally I would take Lucas Giolito's performance kind of with a grain of salt. I mean, it's the Twins, and they're a team that can get out of the gates hot. We remember. I think they had the best record in the American League for a little bit, like in the first 2 months.
Yeah,
so they're a team that kind of gets out of the gates hot, and
that's what they need.
The offense especially.
Mm-hmm.
So then, where the Central takes a turn, the Detroit Tigers are over 500 after the first series.
DJ Crone hit 2 home runs this series. He had a big couple games. Jacoby Jones with a big home run. Miggy hit a home run. And before you get into everything, this series kind of personifies everything that concerned me about the Cincinnati Reds. Everyone talked about how great they are on paper, the great additions they made. You go out and get Nick Castellanos. You go out and get Mike Moustakas. You signed Shogo Akiyama from Japan, who looked pretty good. In fact, Joey Votto hit 2 home runs, which is really encouraging to see. But they went 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position over the last 2 games of the series, and that is the thing that worries me. You could be the greatest team on paper, but if you're not getting the timely hits, if you're not making the timely pitches like that bullpen was, it doesn't matter. You're not going anywhere if you can't be timely. And the Reds, that's the thing that concerns me. They have a recent history of not being timely. There were a lot of games last year, if you look back, that they probably should have won. And I think there were a couple of those this weekend, especially with the pitching performances that they wasted from Luis Castillo and Trevor Bauer.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing to complain about with the starting pitching this weekend. Sonny Gray, Luis Castillo, and Trevor Bauer were all spectacular. But so the Reds won on Friday, and then yesterday the Reds gave up 5 earned runs in 3 innings after Luis Castillo had a wonderful performance. In fact, I saw this on the television broadcast, so I can't really give credit to myself, but it is a how about that. The Reds became the first team in baseball history to have 10-plus strikeout performances from individual pitchers in each of their first 3 games.
How about that?
And they lost 2 of those games.
And it's not like, they had 10 strikeouts and gave up 3 or 4 earned runs. They gave up, I think, 1 earned run each And the bullpen has some rough times. Michael Lorenzen, especially, he gave up 3 earned runs in each of his past 2 appearances. Gave up 2 big home runs on both Saturday and Sunday, or 1 home run, 2 home runs total. 1 home run on Saturday, 1 home run on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, one thing I guess you could give credit for the Tigers, along with their timely hitting, Spencer Turnbull today, he gave up 1 earned run and struck out 8 in 5 innings pitched. And of course you're going to discredit the Reds because the Tigers were the worst team last year. But the Tigers, I guess, over 500 this year. How about that?
Yeah. Enjoy that while you can.
Yeah. So now onto the National League Central. The Cardinals kind of did what we thought the Cardinals would do over Pittsburgh. Any takes on St. Louis versus Pittsburgh? Yeah,
I mean, the starting pitching looked really good. Jack Flaherty on Friday obviously did his thing. Adam Wainwright can Oh, wait. Adam Wainwright can still hang with the best of them, and he showed that on Saturday. I guess you could take it with a grain of salt because of it being the Pirates, but they got to Trevor Williams on that day. Today, Mitch Keller pitched pretty well, which is encouraging because he was a big-name prospect for them when he was first coming up. Cardinals had some timely hitting. Paul DeYoung had a home run in the series, so did Dexter Fowler. Yadier Molina had a couple key singles that drove in some runs, which is cool to see, obviously, from Yadi. In the late stages of his career, this could be it for him this year. You never really know. Paul Goldschmidt, 417 average with an 1128 OPS. Need to see that. That's huge. We were talking about how, you said he has to have, I believe, an 890 OPS for the Cardinals to make the playoffs.
I said 880. It's a weird
880. Okay.
Weird arbitrary.
Well, hey, 1128 is not bad.
1120 is not bad. I mean, I know it's the Pirates, but it's a good start. And, everyone should be rooted for Paul Goldschmidt.
Mm-hmm.
He's been under the radar for a while, and the guy's on a Hall of Fame track. And, I think we'll be looking at this guy, 7-8 years from now. He'll probably join the 500 home run club at some point. And, he's definitely on a Hall of Fame track. He's also very good offensively or defensively, and also pretty good for a first baseman on the bases. So yeah, we're a pro Paul Goldschmidt show, but I mean I think the series to look for in the National League Central was the Cubs and the Brewers, and it was a very interesting series.
It was back and forth.
Yeah, for sure. It starts off with Kyle Hendricks just shoving it.
Complete game, 3 hits, all to Orlando Arcia. Game score of 90 in that first day. That's huge. So then Saturday, what did you think of the virtual fans on Fox? Because that was the first time we saw it on Saturday.
I mean, it looked exactly like MLB The Show. My question is, why aren't they wearing masks? I mean, it's a pandemic.
Yeah, come on now.
I mean, I don't really understand that. However, you know what? I mean, Wrigley's got to generate revenue somehow, and I guess that's how you got to do it. But yeah, I mean, I guess one final thing I will say about Kyle Hendricks, I didn't write the stat down, but did you say, because I lost you for a second there.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so Kyle Hendricks, his game score on an opening day, it was the best game score in a game pitched in 9 innings or less. A regulation game. It was the best game score in a regulation game on opening day since Bob Gibson in 1967. So Kyle Hendricks had quite the opening day for himself. Yeah. It was the best best opening day, in fact, by a pitcher since 53 years. That, you know, most people had not seen an opening day like that in their lifetime. But yeah, Kyle Hendricks was unbelievable. And then on Saturday, one thing that can't be seen on paper, the Cubs took a little issue with some up and in pitches by Corbin Burns.
Yeah, I did see that. There was a benches clearing in a pandemic is weird.
Yeah, I mean it's not encouraged, but I mean, how else are you going to do it?
Mm-hmm. And then the Cubs, so the Brewers smacked Yu Darvish around. That's not good for me on Saturday. They won that game 8-3, and the Cubs returned the favor today. They won, I believe it was 9-1. 9-1. Yeah, that was the final score today. Rizzo hit a home run. A few others as well. Let me check. Let me just make sure I know exactly who hit those home runs for the Cubs today. But a 2-1 win for my sleeper team. So that's big for my NL Central champs. Chris, do you have any thoughts on this series?
No, not really. I mean, I think we saw what we expected. You know, disappointing day from Yu Darvish, but he should be able to recover. Good stuff from Kyle Hendricks.
Or else I look really bad.
Yeah, bad stuff from Kyle Hendricks. Christian Yelich hit a home run over the weekend. That was good. That was good to see. But yeah, I think we can
out of the gate. All right, let's see. Wilson Contreras had a home run, and Ian Happ homered in that game as well. That's 3 home runs for today. That's Ian Happ is Chris's guy.
Yeah, that's my four.
Yeah, so the Cubs are 2-1. The Brewers are now 1-2, and we are going to shift gears into the American League West. The A's and Angels. They had an interesting series. We mentioned the Matt Olson walk-off grand slam on Friday. Liam Hendricks blowing a save in his first appearance on a home run to Jason Castro was pretty concerning. But obviously Olson crushes that ball. I mean, that was a no-doubter. And it looks so effortless too.
Yeah, it was lefty on lefty, and I think it was a hanging slider. And
Milner.
Yeah, he really just took it to that ball. The Liam Hendricks home run, obviously it's his first appearance of the season, but I think it did. One thing that was mentioned on the A's broadcast today is it did come after a questionable 0-2 call. That I think Liam Hendricks definitely wanted in his favor. But yeah, I mean it's, I guess the term is overreaction Monday. But I mean Liam Hendricks today, don't want to get too ahead, but today he gets
he looked good, and he struck out Jason Castro. I think he got him out in some way.
Yeah, he got a 1-2-3 save today. And then on Saturday, go over Saturday because I didn't really catch any of Saturday.
Okay, really the only thing that was important was Dylan Bundy because the Angels are a team that has desperately needed good pitching for a long time. There was a lot of concern over the acquisitions they brought in this offseason, being Dylan Bundy and Julio Teheran, guys that haven't really proven much or might be over the hill. But Dylan Bundy, huge outing. He gets them the win. And his game score of 71 would have been tied for the second best on the Angels in 2019. So already he's bringing in something that the Angels did not have, which is huge.
Yeah, and the Angels won by the score of what?
4-1 maybe. I remember Justin Upton homered. I will get that up in a second. But today, Shohei Ohtani started. It was bad. It was really bad. He did not record an out. He had, I believe, was it 5 earned runs? Yeah, 5 earned runs.
Yeah, he gave up 7.
4-1. It was 4-1, yeah.
Yeah, he gave up 7 consecutive base runners.
Yeah, not good.
Not great.
The Angels were already down 5-0 in the first. Very quickly, they actually got back in it. Mike Trout hit a 3-run home run on 3-0. He later hit a sac fly. He had all 4 RBIs for the Angels today, but it wasn't enough as they lost 6-4. Hendricks looked good, and that's the A's and Angels.
And one note, Matt Andriese, I think his name is. Andriese. Yeah, he came in relief and he went 5 2/3 scoreless. So that's definitely something you should credit.
I mean that's a guy you should probably put in your rotation now.
Yeah, I mean,
The Angels can take they'll take anything they can get as far as starting pitching, and Matt Andrews looked really encouraging today.
Yeah, and not a good look from Shohei Ohtani. That's his first pitching appearance since 2018.
Yep.
I don't know if it's a sign of things to come. Definitely
I hope not.
what's alarming is the 3 walks. Anybody can really give up singles like that, but 3 walks, especially 3 walks in a row to bring in a run, not something you like. Hopefully for him and the Angels, he can get that control in order. But yeah, that transitions into the other West, where the Rangers and Rockies
Nope, you forgot the Astros and Mariners.
Oh, right. That's correct.
Yep. That series went just about as expected. One thing I would like to note, Taylor Williams, who I presumably is the closer for the M's, he did give up a run in the 9th, but he struck out Springer, Altuve, and Bregman to end the game today. So that was interesting. I obviously mentioned the meat of the Mariners order with Kyle Seager, Kyle Lewis, and J.P. Crawford. I'm really excited to see what they can do. But the Astros, they won the series 2-1. The offense just it's too good to be stopped in the first 2 games. And even today when they lost, they scored 6 runs. Like that's you win that most of the time. Today just wasn't one of those days. But Verlander looked good. We're hoping we can see him back soon. McCullers looked really good in his return to the mound after Tommy John. And the offense did that thing. George Springer hit a home run. Yuli Gurriel, I think, went deep. Michael Brantley, I believe, did the same thing. It's pretty much the usual suspects that we're on for the Astros this weekend.
Yeah, and luckily we'll be able to see that offense get tested in their next series against the Dodgers.
Yes.
So yeah, that now we can go to the Rangers and Rockies, 2 teams that have, I guess, some hope, but are pretty much middle of the road as of now in their divisions. The Rangers made their first appearance in what's it called?
Globe Life Field.
Okay, I knew it was. I remembered it was Globe Life.
Yeah, I think it was Globe Life Park before, and now it's a field.
Yes. So yeah, they went from the park to the field, and this is an indoor field. And yeah, the Rangers. The Rangers started off and they won game 1, right?
Yeah, they did. One takeaway that I had, not a lot of offense to start out in the new stadium, especially if you have the Colorado Rockies, which are notorious for having great offenses. The first game, the Rangers were getting no hit by German Marquez until the 6th. They ended up winning that game 1-0 on a double by Rougned Odor. Lance Lynn got the win. He looked good. In the second game, we'll get to the big story from the second game, but only a 3-2 win for the Rockies. No home runs hit in the first 2 games of the series. But the thing that matters, Daniel Bard got the win. His first appearance in 7 years, getting over the yips. And he ended up getting the win for Colorado in that second game. It was a really cool story. He pitched an inning and a third, allowed 2 hits, struck out 1, and got the W, which was awesome. And today, Joey Gallo hit the first home run in the new stadium, but Trevor Story followed up with 2 of his own. And the Rockies ended up winning that game today, 4-2. So 6 runs total was the most amount scored in a single game so far in that stadium, which is interesting.
Yeah, and I guess one thing that does change is I think that park factor with Texas kind of gets taken away. It has been known, Texas has been known as an offensive spot. It's hotter, the ball travels a little better, and from what I understand, there's like a nice jet stream to right center field. And when it's indoors, that somewhat gets taken away.
Goes away.
So how your offense does is completely dependent on your personnel now. So,
yeah, and I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense that the Rangers invested in pitching this offseason. Like, you already had great seasons from Lance Lynn and Mike Minor. You go out and get Kyle Gibson. You trade for Corey Kluber. Pretty good moves in hindsight, seeing that this park may play to pitchers more.
Oh, yeah, and Corey Kluber left his start earlier today, right?
Yeah, he did, but he didn't pitch that bad.
Yeah, think he had some tightness, but I think it's a day-to-day injury, and I think he should be good for the day, or good for the season. But yeah, the Daniel Bard comeback is definitely something.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's probably the best thing that's happened so far this year.
Yeah, that's a great story. I mean, especially for a guy who never really made the money that he was going to make, and now he gets a comeback. And if he has a good year this year, then he could make some money on the free agent market, whether it be with the Rockies or another team. Relievers do get paid a little bit more nowadays, but he's back.
We're rooting for Daniel Bard.
Yeah, definitely rooting for Daniel Bard. And as for the rest of the National League West, we had the Dodgers and Giants open up the season on the West Coast on Thursday night. So far, this series is kind of going as expected.
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers won 2 of the first 3 games. The Giants did come back in the third game to win that one 5-4. Max Muncy entering today as the Major League wins above replacement leader with .5, which I guess isn't much of a surprise when you've played 3 games and everyone else has played 2. But he's been performing. Mookie Betts has been struggling so far, but it's 3 games, and that's going to change. I'm not that worried about that. Interesting that the Dodgers waited to pitch Walker Buehler until next week. He did not go in this series, and the Dodgers have had no problem. The series finale is tonight in a few hours. It's going to be Drew Smyly versus Julio Urias. My prediction is the Dodgers win, obviously. And that's about all I have for that. You have anything else about the Dodgers?
No, I mean, pretty much as expected. They should tonight make it a 4-game series win, 3 out of 4. That's pretty much par for the course.
Every team is no one is undefeated and no one is winless.
Yeah, it is funny.
How about that?
Yeah, usually one team will start like 5-0 or something like that, or 0-5.
Yep, not this year.
No, not this year. Yeah, interesting. But yeah, then the final series that we have yet to talk about, Padres Diamondbacks, very interesting series.
And the guy who led the way in the first game is the guy that we love to meme on, and it was Eric Hosmer. He had 2 doubles and 6 RBIs in that game, 2 different 3-run doubles, and he became the first player in baseball history with 2 doubles and 6 RBIs on opening day.
How about that?
We've talked about Eric Hosmer's launch angle or lack thereof a lot. He's been lifting the ball a lot this weekend. I've watched a lot of it, and I'm excited to see what can happen there. Obviously, he dominated that first game. In the second game, Dinelson Lamet looked really good. He struck out 8 and gave up 1 run over 5 innings pitched. A day after Paddock went 6 shutout innings. Manny Machado hit a home run in that game. Will Myers hit a home run in that game. So the Padres are looking really encouraging. The Diamondbacks offense, I don't know if we're supposed to be concerned about them or if the Padres pitching just looks really good. But coming into the 8th inning of this game, they only had scored 3 runs over 25 innings that season so far.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I did mid-game, I was looking at their runners and scoring position numbers, and up until Starling Marte tied the game up with an RBI single, the Diamondbacks were 3 for 20 with runners in scoring position in that series. And then, they turn it around. Starling Marte gets that weird ground ball down the right field line to single, and then it's first and third. The middle of the infield is not in, and someone grounds into a double play, but the runner from third scores. It's 2-1 Diamondbacks, and then the Diamondbacks give up the lead in the bottom of the 8th. However, in the top of the 9th, Kirby Yates gave up a single and walked 2 guys, I think, and then what was it? It was a single it was a sac fly.
Ketel Marte sac fly, I believe.
Yeah, there was a sac fly. And yeah, Emilio Pagan was the guy in the 8th inning who struggled, and then it was Kirby Yates in the 9th inning who had some struggles. Kind of concerning. However, we are just 3 games into the season, but definitely unusual. And luckily for the Diamondbacks, they're able to take advantage of that and at least get one out of that series, because I think, especially for the Diamondbacks, it's expanded playoffs. Every single game is very important for them.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about lack of depth in the NL Central in the NL West outside the Dodgers. One of those teams is guaranteed a playoff spot.
Yes. Yeah, that's extremely important. And
because the way it's formatted,
both.
The way it's formatted is the second place teams in each division are the 4, 5, and 6 seeds. So either the Padres, Diamondbacks, Rockies, or Giants are guaranteed a playoff spot, one of them at least.
Yeah, and both of us it's important because both of us had the Diamondbacks as the second place team, but not as one of the wild card teams.
That's right.
But now, if they're in second place, they're guaranteed a spot. However, maybe the Padres, or I guess the Rockies or Giants, but mostly the Padres, or maybe even the Rockies, could realistically get in that second place spot and maybe make some noise in the playoffs.
So now that does it for our recap of the weekend series. We're going to shift our focus into next week, and we are going to talk about matchups, teams, players, anything you should look for. My matchup to look for, not edgy at all. It's the Astros and Dodgers, of course, in Houston. Dodgers are coming in there. They have a grudge that they're holding. I know that they won't be able to rile up the crowd, A, because it's in Houston, and B, because there is no crowd. But the Dodgers are playing with a chip on their shoulder. They saved Walker Buehler specifically for that first game. So, they're not messing around this weekend.
Yeah, the Astros and Dodgers, every single baseball fan is going to be tuned in in some way, shape, or form on that game. I'm looking at the Rays and Braves series. I'm looking to see what the pitching matchups are. I know my guy to look for, Mike Foltynewicz, is going to pitch in that series. I believe he's pitching game 1 of that series. So, you got first game of the series, you got Mike Foltynewicz versus Tyler Glasnow. That's definitely going to be something to look for. I predict that it's going to
pick.
Yeah, that's your Cy Young pick. I predict that's going to be a pitcher's duel. Although, Mike Foltynewicz could have a bad start again, bad start to the season again. But I personally think it will be a pitcher's duel. And then if you look for the other matchups, just trying to pull that up for myself.
Yeah.
What do you got? You got Yanni Chirinos versus Kyle Wright. I mean, not the most sexy matchup, but it's still the Rays and the Braves. And then the third game.
They're not bad pitchers at all, though.
Yeah, definitely not. And then I think you got Mike Soroka versus some type of opener. And is it only a 3-game series?
Yeah, I believe so.
Or actually, no, it is a 4-game.
I think there's a lot of 4-game. There's a lot of interleague play this weekend, and Marcelo Zuna just cranked one. That's out of the yard. That is 11-1 Braves. Speaking of the Braves, they're up 11-1 on the Mets right now. A lot of 4-game series, a lot of interleague play. So do you want to get into players to watch now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have many particularly.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say, I mean, I'm curious to see, I think Yoan Moncada, your White Sox got to look for. He had 2 pretty good games against the Twins.
Yeah,
Twins. And he's facing the Indians pitching staff this weekend, or this upcoming week. And he's got Aaron Savale first game, and I think eventually he'll be facing Shane Bieber as well. I think that'll be a good matchup of 2 kind of powerhouses. You got the Indians pitching staff with Savale and Bieber, the 5-starter, maybe not the most exciting thing in the world. And then you got Yoan Moncada, who's, he's been very good, will probably be an all-star, and also a king of exit velocity.
Yes. So I got 2 guys that I'm watching for, and they're both playing against each other. One of them I mentioned earlier is Kyle Lewis from the Mariners. This guy has come up. He came up last year, posted a 921 OPS, and he has done nothing but hit. He hit a ball on the train tracks the first day in Houston. He had another home run the next day. Obviously, he has an over 13 OPS, 1,300 OPS so far this year. He's going to be facing off against the Angels. And my guy from the Angels to watch, it's not edgy at all. It's Mike Trout, obviously. Chris, do you want to guess how many weighted runs created plus he had against the Mariners last season?
Last season, I'm going to guess 269.
Little bit less.
Okay.
Still great, though.
248.
Little lower. You're getting there.
241.
It was 237. Still 130. Still 137% above the rest of the league when facing the Mariners. This guy completely owns them, and it's Mike Trout. So of course you got to watch him. His career OPS is hovering right around 1,000. That's always a reason to watch him. I know it's real edgy. I don't care. I'm still picking Mike Trout.
Yeah, and the Angels are never a nationally broadcast team, so you have to be reminded Mike Trout is the best player in baseball.
Exactly.
Don't let any social media fool you. I know a lot of players are making real good plays. I know DJ LeMahieu was very good last year. I know
Aaron Judge is really tall. I get it.
Yeah, I understand that Tim Anderson is good at, getting base hits. However, his walk rate is negative.
Austin Riley just freaking destroyed one. Oh, my God. That just hit the facade above the upper deck.
Oh, I'm going to have to look at that later.
You need to see, okay, if you did – it just cut to – who was that? It just cut to a player on the Mets who had his jaw dropped. That was the farthest home run I've ever seen at Citi Field. I need to – hold on. I need to get the StatCast on that as soon as possible. I am not going to change the subject until we get – what is that? 111 miles per hour off the bat. Should it say 467? I don't believe that. That looked way farther. Holy cow. Okay, no, I need to get – launch angle 100. Okay, 111 off the bat. I can't see it. The TV's too far away. I need to see how far that home run was that Austin Riley just hit. Oh my goodness. Come on.
One stat I will fill in is one of our peers, Luke, just sent into our group chat. Shared a tweet. It said, first time in 66 years that no MLB team has started 3-0.
Perfect.
How about that?
Love that.
First time in 66 years.
How far that ball was.
That's 1954.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
I really wish I was close to my TV so I could see how far Austin Riley hit that ball. That was the farthest home run I've ever hit. 458. I don't believe that. I think that was farther than 458.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe, I think they have moved in the fences at Citi Field, but.
No. That hit the facade above the second deck. It went over it almost went into the 500 level seating, Chris.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see that.
Yeah, it literally the broadcast cut to someone on the Mets with their jaw dropped.
Oh, MLB just tweeted it out. But yeah,
all right. Look at this thing.
That's I guess that is our show. That's do you have any other players to look for?
No, that was if you haven't seen the Austin Riley home run from Sunday night, you need to watch it.
Wow. That thing was hammered.
That was destroyed. All right, well, that's going to do it. We would like to thank Baseball Reference and Fangraphs, as always, for their contributions to the show. All their stats can be found there.
Yeah, and also Baseball Savant.
Yes.
And, that is the end of our first show about regular season baseball. There we go. I wonder what I'm gonna title the episode, but we'll see about
First
it.
weekend recap or something like that.
Possibly, yeah. So
I'm gonna think of something right now. Just the first thing that comes to mind, and that's what you're gonna name it. So people who are watching the episode are gonna be confused why it's named that, and that's gonna be the reason why.
Okay. Well.
All right. This episode is gonna be named It's gonna be named Ceiling Fan because I'm looking at one right now.
All right.
So that's gonna be the name of the episode. Yep.
Fantastic. So I hope you
All right.
enjoyed episode number 47, Ceiling Fan.
That's right.
We would like to thank you to listen to that. I hope you enjoy the episode. If you want to follow us on Twitter, follow me at Chris_Giant. Follow Daniel at Daniel_Curran. If you want to, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and you want to watch us talk, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is STBNL with Chris Gianta and Daniel Curran. Also, you should follow our podcast Instagram. It is at STBNL Podcast. And we would like to thank you for listening to our first weekend recap. And we look forward to seeing you on Thursday or Friday when we're going to be reviewing the past series of the middle of the week. So
All right.
We'll see you then.